Do you think you know everything about the Incas? Think again. Forget what you learned in school about Machu Picchu and Atahualpa, because today we will uncover 31 incredible facts about this ancient empire. Facts that have been forgotten, overlooked, and sometimes too uncomfortable to teach in classrooms. From mummies who ruled after death to successful skull surgeries performed in the 15th century, what you are about to discover will literally blow your mind. The Incas didn't leave behind books like the civilizations of Mesopotamia or Egypt, but they did leave behind clues. And in this video, we will read those clues as if they were an ancient code. From curious quipus, the knotted strings that held stories and numbers, to mysterious roads stretching across mountains, these are living histories that illuminate the true Sun Empire, a legacy that continues to shine across a continent even today. So prepare yourself for a journey into the heart of the real Inca Empire, the empire beyond myths and legends. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe, activate the notification bell, and leave a like, because here every forgotten fact comes back to life. The story of the Incas begins with a mythical origin, a founding legend essential to understanding their world. Every great empire needs a myth, and for the Incas, this myth starts in the sacred waters of Lake Titicaca, the navel of the Andean world. From these waters emerged two mysterious figures, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, said to be children of Inti, the sun god. But they did not come simply to rule. They came to civilize. According to legend, Inti sent them to Earth with a golden staff and instructed them to walk until they found the place where the staff sank easily into the ground. This place would be sacred, fertile, and worthy of becoming the center of the world, the future city of Cusco. As they journeyed, Manco Capac and Mama Oclo taught the people how to cultivate the land, build settlements, respect laws, and worship the sun. Mama Oclo taught women how to spin, weave, and care for the home. These two were more than rulers. They were civilizing models, half human and half divine. But even this shining origin story has a darker side. Some accounts tell of bloody conflicts with indigenous groups resisting the newcomers, revealing that the foundation of the empire involved struggles and sacrifices. Because even in the brightest legends, power is born with shadows. Eventually, Manco Capac became the first Sapa Inca, the great ruler, while Mama Oclo was his wife and sister. A union that may sound taboo to us, but symbolized purity of lineage in the Andean world. Beyond this myth, the Incas created a vast empire spanning thousands of kilometers across diverse terrains, from deserts to high mountains and tropical jungles. Their capital, Cusco, was more than a city. It was the heart of an elaborate network of roads, administrative centers, and religious sites connecting millions of people with different languages and cultures. Remarkably, the Incas achieved this without a writing system as we know it. Instead, they used quipus, intricate strings with knots that recorded numerical and possibly narrative information. These devices were so complex that modern researchers are still decoding their full meaning. The quipu administrators, called quipucamayocs, held an important place in society as keepers of knowledge and history. Another astonishing achievement was the Inca road system, or Capac-Han, which stretched over 40,000 kilometers, linking the farthest corners of the empire. This network allowed for rapid communication, military mobilization, and trade. Built with extraordinary engineering techniques, these roads crossed high mountain passes, deserts, and dense forests. They included suspension bridges made from woven grass, some of which are still reconstructed and used today. The Incas also excelled in agriculture, adapting to harsh environments through terracing and irrigation. They cultivated potatoes, maize, quinoa, and other crops suited to different altitudes. This agricultural innovation supported large populations and made the empire resilient to natural disasters. One lesser-known fact is that the Incas practiced successful cranial surgeries known as trepanation, where they drilled holes in skulls to treat injuries or illnesses. Archaeological evidence shows many patients survived these procedures, demonstrating advanced medical knowledge. Meanwhile, the spiritual life of the Incas was deeply intertwined with nature and astronomy. They worshipped Inti, the sun god, and Pachamama, the earth mother, along with various other deities representing mountains, rivers, and animals. Their priests used precise astronomical observations to determine agricultural cycles and religious festivals. They built observatories like the one at Machu Picchu to track the sun's movement, aligning stones with solstices and equinoxes. While the Incas are often remembered for their golden treasures, these objects were symbols of religious and political power, rather than mere wealth. Gold represented the sweat of the sun and was used mainly in temples and ceremonial items. The Spanish conquest, which began in the 16th century, dramatically altered the fate of the Incas. The capture of Atahualpa, the last independent Sapa Inca, and the subsequent fall of Cusco marked the end of the empire's independence. Yet, despite colonization, many Andean traditions survived, blending with new influences to create vibrant cultures still alive today. These 31 facts go far beyond the common knowledge of the Incas as just builders of stone walls or victims of conquistadors. They reveal a civilization that was innovative, complex, and deeply connected to its environment and spirituality. As we continue through these facts, keep in mind the resilience and ingenuity of a people who thrived in one of the most challenging regions on Earth, leaving a legacy that still fascinates and inspires. Continuing our journey into the Inca world, it's crucial to understand how their political structure was uniquely sophisticated for its time, blending centralized power with a system that allowed local governance and cultural diversity. The Sapa Inca, considered the son of the sun, held absolute authority not only as a political leader, but also as a divine figure. His word was law, and his role merged religion and governance into one. Yet, to manage the sprawling empire, the Incas implemented a complex administrative system divided into 4 suyus or quarters, each governed by officials appointed by the central power. This system allowed them to govern diverse peoples speaking different languages and practicing varied customs, maintaining unity without erasing local identities. The empire's official language, Quechua, was promoted to facilitate communication, but multilingualism was common, and many local languages survived. The Incas used a labor tax system called mita, which required communities to contribute work for public projects such as road building, agriculture, and military service. This system fostered a sense of collective responsibility and ensured the empire's infrastructure and defense remained strong. Mita was not exploitative, but embedded in social reciprocity, where the state provided for the people in times of need, including during crop failures or natural disasters. Another extraordinary aspect of Inca culture was their mastery of architecture and construction techniques, often mistaken simply as impressive stone masonry, but actually much more. Their buildings were designed to withstand earthquakes, with precisely cut stones that fit together perfectly without mortar and could move slightly during tremors without collapsing. This method, known as ashlar masonry, was so effective that many Inca structures remain standing centuries later in earthquake-prone zones. Machu Picchu, the most famous Inca site, exemplifies this architectural genius. Built in a remote mountain ridge, it integrates agricultural terraces, religious temples, and residential areas with breathtaking views and astronomical alignments. The site was likely a royal estate or religious sanctuary, showcasing the Incas' ability to blend functionality, spirituality, and aesthetics. The Incas were also skilled in textile production, an art form deeply tied to their social and spiritual life. Textiles were so highly valued that the finest fabrics, made from alpaca or vicuña wool, were reserved for nobility and religious ceremonies. Patterns and colors conveyed social status, community identity, and even messages. Women weavers held respected positions in society, and weaving techniques were passed down through generations. Textiles also played a role in diplomacy and tribute, exchanged as gifts or payments to the state. Food and agriculture formed the backbone of Inca society, and their innovations in these areas were vital to their success. They developed sophisticated irrigation systems to bring water to terraced fields on steep mountainsides. This technique not only increased arable land, but also prevented erosion and conserved soil moisture. Their staple crops included potatoes, of which they cultivated hundreds of varieties, maize, quinoa, and beans. They also domesticated llamas and alpacas, which provided meat, wool, and transport. Food preservation techniques like freeze-drying potatoes into chuño allowed storage for long periods, essential for feeding armies and populations through harsh winters or crop failures. One fascinating and little-known fact is the role of coca leaves in Inca culture. Coca was sacred, used in rituals, medicine, and as a stimulant to endure high altitudes and hard labor. The leaves were chewed or brewed into tea and symbolized a connection between the earthly and spiritual worlds. The Spanish colonizers later misunderstood coca's cultural importance, associating it solely with narcotic use. Inca religion was deeply cosmological, emphasizing harmony between humans, nature, and the cosmos. They believed in three realms: the Hanan, upper world; Ke, this world; and Uku, underworld. Their rituals often involved offerings to Pachamama, Inti, and other deities to maintain balance and fertility. Festivals such as Inti Raymi, the Festival of the Sun, celebrated renewal and agricultural cycles, drawing large crowds for prayers, dances, and sacrifices. While human sacrifice existed, it was relatively rare and highly ritualized, often involving children chosen for their purity and beauty, believed to become messengers to the gods. Moving beyond cultural achievements, the Incas also displayed remarkable military organization. Their armies were highly disciplined and well-equipped, with strategies adapted to their mountainous terrain. Conquering neighboring groups was often accomplished through a combination of diplomacy, integration, and force. The Incas incorporated defeated peoples by relocating them, mitmakuna, spreading their influence and reducing rebellion risks. They also allowed a degree of cultural autonomy if local leaders pledged loyalty. The Spanish conquest, driven by greed and technological advantage, nevertheless faced fierce resistance. Leaders like Manco Inca led prolonged rebellions, showing that Inca resilience endured long after the fall of Cusco. Another captivating fact is that the Incas excelled in metallurgy, working with gold, silver, and copper, not only for religious objects, but also practical tools and weapons. Their techniques included alloying and sophisticated casting methods. The sacred metals were treated with reverence, often melted down and reused in ceremonies. They believed gold was the sweat of the sun, and silver the tears of the moon, infusing metals with spiritual meaning. The lack of a traditional writing system meant the Incas relied on oral tradition and quipus for record-keeping. Recent studies suggest quipus might encode not only numbers, but also narrative information, possibly stories or genealogies. This challenges previous assumptions about pre-Columbian civilizations and opens new doors to understanding their knowledge systems. In daily life, The Incas had a structured social hierarchy with nobles, priests, artisans, farmers, and laborers. Social mobility was limited but possible through merit or marriage. Marriage was important for alliance building, and polygamy was practiced by nobles to strengthen ties with different clans. Festivals and communal gatherings fostered social cohesion, combining work, ritual, and celebration. Despite being often portrayed as a rigid empire, the Incas demonstrated flexibility and adaptation, absorbing diverse peoples and allowing local customs to survive under imperial rule. Their legacy is alive in modern Andean cultures, where Quechua and Aymara languages are still spoken. Traditional weaving continues, and many rituals retain Inca elements. These facts collectively change everything we thought we knew about the Incas. They were not just stone builders or victims of conquest, but a vibrant civilization with advanced knowledge, complex governance, and a deep spiritual connection to their environment. Their story is one of innovation, resilience, and enduring influence that continues to inspire curiosity and admiration worldwide. As we delve deeper into the remarkable world of the Incas, another essential fact comes to light. Their mastery of water management was truly revolutionary and key to the empire's prosperity. The Incas engineered extensive irrigation canals, aqueducts, and reservoirs, channeling water from mountain streams to terraced fields and urban centers. These systems not only maximized agricultural yields, but also controlled flooding and conserved water during dry seasons. One outstanding example is Tipon, an archaeological site near Cusco, where intricate stone canals still channel water perfectly along terraced slopes, demonstrating the Incas' deep understanding of hydraulics and terrain. Water also held symbolic significance, seen as a sacred element connecting the physical and spiritual worlds, and many rituals involved offerings to mountain springs and lakes. Beyond irrigation, the Inca road system, the Capacnan, deserves further emphasis as a feat of engineering and empire building. Stretching over 40,000 kilometers, it united diverse ecological zones, from coastal deserts to cloud forests and the high Andes. These roads were built with stone pavements, drainage systems, stairways, and tunnels designed to endure harsh weather and geological conditions. They allowed messengers, called chusqui, to run long distances relaying messages swiftly using a relay system, much like ancient runners delivering vital information across the empire. This communication network was essential for military coordination, tax collection, and governance, making the Incas one of the most organized pre-modern states in the Americas. Another dimension of Inca society often overlooked is the role of women beyond weaving. Women participated in religious life as priestesses and caretakers of temples, and some held positions of political influence. The Akalas, or chosen women, were selected from across the empire for their beauty and skills, and lived in seclusion in convent-like institutions, where they produced fine textiles, brewed chicha, corn beer, and participated in religious ceremonies. Their role was both spiritual and political, symbolizing loyalty and serving as diplomatic gifts through arranged marriages with nobles. In terms of economy, the Incas operated a redistributive system rather than a market economy based on money. The state controlled production and distribution, collecting goods as tribute and redistributing them according to need. Storage facilities called kulkas dotted the empire, preserving food, textiles, and weapons to support the army and populations during shortages. This ensured food security and social stability across a vast and environmentally diverse region. The Incas also had impressive knowledge of astronomy, integrating it with agriculture and religion. They carefully observed celestial bodies to determine solstices and equinoxes, which guided planting and harvesting cycles. Structures such as the Intihuatana stone at Machu Picchu served as solar clocks or ritual focal points, aligning with the sun's position at key times of the year. Their calendar was lunisolar, combining cycles of the moon and sun to organize festivals and agricultural activities. Their cosmology was deeply symbolic, connecting human life to the cosmos and natural cycles. A fascinating fact concerns Inca warfare tactics. Unlike many conquerors who relied solely on brute force, the Incas used psychological warfare, diplomacy, and integration. They often offered peaceful submission to new groups, granting privileges and integrating local elites into the imperial system. When military action was necessary, they deployed well-trained armies adapted to mountain terrain, using weapons such as slings, clubs, and spears. They lacked horses and firearms but compensated with superior organization and knowledge of the landscape. Medicine in the Inca world was surprisingly advanced. Beyond cranial surgeries, they used medicinal plants, practiced bone setting, and performed various treatments for ailments. Healers, called yataris, combined herbal knowledge with spiritual rituals to treat both physical and psychological illnesses. The Incas believed illness often stemmed from spiritual imbalance, so healing involved offerings to deities alongside practical remedies. This holistic approach integrated body, mind, and spirit, reflecting their worldview. One lesser-known fact is the importance of llamas and alpacas as pack animals and sources of food and fiber. Unlike horses or oxen, these camelids were perfectly adapted to high altitudes and rugged terrain. Their wool was essential for clothing and textiles, while their manure fertilized crops. Managing herds was a specialized skill, with shepherds called llama camayos, who ensured sustainable grazing and animal health. The Incas' agricultural techniques and animal husbandry allowed them to thrive in an environment that challenged even modern farmers. The cultural legacy of the Incas continues to influence Andean identity today. Quechua and Aymara languages are spoken by millions across Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and beyond. Traditional festivals like Inti Raymi still draw large crowds and preserve ancient rituals. Weaving and pottery traditions keep alive artistic expressions handed down from Inca ancestors. Communities maintain agricultural practices such as terrace farming, preserving biodiversity and ecological balance. The Incas' relationship with the natural world offers lessons in sustainability and resilience. While the Spanish conquest devastated the empire and its people, it also led to syncretism, blending indigenous and European beliefs and customs. This fusion created unique cultural expressions that remain vibrant. Indigenous resistance persisted for centuries, showing the strength of Inca cultural memory. Archaeology continues to reveal new insights into Inca life, challenging old stereotypes and opening windows into their complex society. As we conclude this section, it becomes clear that the Incas were not just builders of monumental stone cities or victims of conquest. They were a dynamic civilization marked by innovation, spirituality, and adaptability. Their achievements in engineering, governance, medicine, and culture remain awe-inspiring, and their legacy lives on in the people and landscapes of the Andes. Understanding these 31 facts transforms our view of the Incas from distant legends into a nuanced and vivid reality that deserves respect and deeper study. As we continue exploring the depth and breadth of Inca civilization, one cannot overlook the intricate religious and ceremonial life that permeated every aspect of their society, revealing a worldview where the sacred and the everyday were inseparable. The Incas believed their emperor was the direct descendant of Inti, the sun god, which placed him not only as a political leader but as a divine intermediary between the heavens and the earth. Religious ceremonies were meticulously organized to honor a pantheon of gods, with Inti holding the highest place of reverence. Festivals such as Inti Raymi were not mere celebrations but complex rituals involving music, dance, sacrifices, and communal feasts that reinforced social cohesion and divine favor. These events often took place at sacred sites like Cusco and Machu Picchu, which were themselves designed to reflect cosmological principles and serve as pilgrimage centers. Another fascinating fact is the use of seques, sacred lines radiating from Cusco, along which numerous huacas, or holy shrines, were placed. These seques mapped spiritual geography and served as organizational axes for rituals and political control, intertwining the empire's religious and administrative spheres. Inca mythology and history were transmitted orally by specialized storytellers called amautas, who preserved knowledge and traditions through generations. Their role was crucial since the Incas lacked a formal written language. Oral history ensured that myths, laws, and genealogies were memorized and passed on with precision. This tradition underlined the power of storytelling and the collective memory in maintaining imperial identity. When considering Inca society, it is important to recognize the sophisticated social engineering behind their extensive population management. The empire's census-taking methods involved quipucamayocs, who used quipus to record demographic and economic data, enabling the state to organize labor, military conscription, and resource allocation efficiently. This level of bureaucratic complexity challenges assumptions about pre-Columbian governance and shows a system attuned to the needs of a large and diverse population. In addition, the Incas practiced a form of social welfare. During times of scarcity or disaster, the state distributed food and supplies stored in the culcas to vulnerable communities, showcasing an early understanding of social security mechanisms. Another remarkable fact is the engineering marvel of suspension bridges made of woven grass ropes, known as quipus. These bridges spanned deep gorges and rivers, were regularly maintained by local communities as part of the Metia labor system, and represented a blend of functionality and community responsibility. The fact that some of these bridges are still rebuilt annually using traditional methods connects modern Andean peoples directly to their Inca heritage. Furthermore, the Incas' artistic expressions extended beyond architecture and textiles into ceramics, metalwork, and painting. Pottery often featured geometric patterns and symbolic motifs reflecting religious beliefs and social status. Metalworkers created exquisite objects, sometimes with inlays of precious stones, used in rituals and as status symbols. These arts were not isolated but intertwined with daily life, politics, and spirituality. On the topic of language, Quechua remains one of the most widely spoken indigenous languages in the Americas, a testament to the Incas' linguistic legacy. It was standardized by the empire to promote cohesion, but allowed regional dialects, which supported cultural diversity within imperial unity. The language carried a rich oral literature, including poetry and songs celebrating nature, ancestors, and the cosmos. Another intriguing fact concerns the Inca approach to education. While formal schooling as we know it did not exist, the empire invested in training future administrators, artisans, and priests, often through apprenticeship and specialized institutions. Knowledge transmission focused on practical skills, religious doctrine, and Muriel ideology, preparing individuals to serve the state and maintain social order. The Incas also demonstrated a remarkable capacity for adaptation and incorporation of conquered peoples' customs and knowledge. Instead of erasing local traditions, they often integrated them, allowing for a mosaic empire that was flexible and resilient. This policy facilitated the administration of diverse ecological zones and ethnic groups, from coastal fishermen to highland farmers and jungle dwellers. The story of Atahualpa, the last sovereign emperor, is well known. But what often gets overlooked is the complexity of the civil war between him and his brother Huáscar before the Spanish arrival. This internal conflict weakened the empire, complicating the conquest and underscoring that the Inca Empire was not monolithic, but rife with political tensions. Moving to more technical aspects, Inca metallurgy included alloying techniques that produced bronze and tumbaga, an alloy of gold and copper, allowing them to craft durable tools and stunning ceremonial items. Their metal artifacts were often recycled and repurposed, reflecting a practical and symbolic attitude toward precious materials. The Spanish conquest brought catastrophic change, but it also led to syncretism, where indigenous beliefs merged with Catholicism, resulting in unique religious expressions still visible in festivals and rituals across the Andes. The resilience of Andean peoples is evident in their ongoing preservation of language, customs, and knowledge, despite centuries of colonial pressure. To conclude this section, understanding these facts about Inca civilization reveals a people of immense ingenuity, spiritual depth, and social complexity. Their legacy challenges simplistic portrayals and invites us to appreciate a civilization that thrived in one of the world's most challenging environments, leaving a heritage that continues to inspire and educate. Exploring further into the multifaceted world of the Incas, one cannot ignore the sophisticated economic model that underpinned their vast empire. A system fundamentally different from contemporary capitalist economies, but highly effective for their context. The Inca economy operated on a principle of reciprocity and redistribution rather than profit-driven trade, reflecting their collective ethos. Instead of using money, the state collected tributes in the form of goods, labor, and services, which were then redistributed based on need and imperial priorities. This system was supported by an extensive network of storage facilities called kulkas scattered throughout the empire, where surplus food, textiles, and tools were preserved for emergencies, official use, and redistribution to soldiers or communities affected by hardship. Another crucial component of this system was the mita, a mandatory public service that required individuals to contribute labor to state projects for a set period each year. This labor tax ensured the construction and maintenance of roads, agricultural terraces, irrigation canals, and military service, allowing the empire to function smoothly without a currency economy. Importantly, mita was rooted in communal responsibility and social bonds, with the state reciprocating by providing for workers' families and ensuring community welfare. The efficiency of this system allowed the Incas to mobilize resources and manpower rapidly, facilitating infrastructure projects that rivaled those of other great civilizations. Additionally, the empire's agriculture was not merely subsistence-based, but highly diversified and specialized, incorporating the vast ecological diversity of the Andes. They cultivated a wide range of crops suited to different altitudes and microclimates, including hundreds of potato varieties, maize, quinoa, beans, and amaranth. Through innovations such as freeze-drying potatoes into chuño, they ensured food security by preserving food for long periods, vital for enduring harsh winters or supporting armies on campaign. Livestock, including llamas and alpacas, provided wool, meat, and transport, essential to economic and social life. The Incas' ability to harness natural resources sustainably was a cornerstone of their resilience. Moving beyond economics, the Incas demonstrated impressive achievements in science and engineering. Their hydraulic engineering feats included terracing steep mountain slopes to prevent erosion and maximize arable land, sophisticated irrigation systems that distributed water precisely, and urban water supply networks. Sites like Tipon highlight their technical mastery, with canals, fountains, and baths designed not only for practical use, but also for ritual purification. Furthermore, their architecture combined durability with aesthetics and spirituality. The precise stone-cutting techniques allowed buildings to withstand earthquakes, with interlocking stones that fit perfectly without mortar and could move slightly to absorb seismic shocks. Structures such as Sacsayhuaman and Machu Picchu remain as testaments to this skill. Machu Picchu itself is a masterpiece of urban planning, integrating residential, agricultural, and religious spaces harmoniously into the landscape, aligned with astronomical phenomena. The spiritual dimension of Inca life permeated these achievements. Their worldview emphasized balance and harmony between humans, nature, and the cosmos. This cosmology was expressed through rituals, offerings, and festivals, which involved the entire community and reinforced social cohesion and imperial ideology. Religious specialists, including priests and shamans, mediated between the people and the divine, guiding agricultural cycles and interpreting celestial events. The Intihuatana stone at Machu Picchu, believed to be a solar clock or ritual stone, illustrates their astronomical knowledge and religious symbolism. In terms of social organization, the Incas maintained a hierarchical but meritocratic system. The Sapa Inca held supreme authority, seen as a divine figure descended from the sun god. Nobles, priests, and administrators formed the elite, while artisans, farmers, and laborers made up the broader population. Despite hierarchy, social mobility existed through marriage, military service, or administrative appointment. The empire incorporated diverse ethnic groups, languages, and customs through a policy of inclusion and respect for local traditions, fostering loyalty while maintaining centralized control. One striking cultural aspect was the importance of textiles and weaving, not only as practical crafts, but as vehicles of communication and identity. Textiles conveyed social status, community affiliation, and even political messages through patterns, colors, and techniques. The production of fine cloth was a specialized skill, often performed by women in state-sponsored weaving centers or religious institutions like the Acalahuasi. These textiles were used in ceremonies, diplomacy, and tribute. The Incas' artistic sensibility extended to pottery, metalwork, and jewelry, all imbued with symbolic meaning and crafted with advanced techniques such as allaying and lost wax casting. The Spanish conquest, beginning in the early 16th century, irrevocably altered the Inca world. The capture of Atahualpa by Francisco Pizarro in 1532 marked a turning point, though internal conflicts and disease had already weakened the empire. Despite rapid political collapse, indigenous resistance endured through uprisings, such as those led by Manco Inca, and cultural resilience preserved Andean traditions and languages. Colonial rule imposed new religious, social, and economic structures, yet syncretism emerged as indigenous peoples blended Catholicism with their cosmology and rituals, visible in festivals, music, and art today. This persistence underscores the enduring legacy of the Incas beyond their empire's political end. In sum, these 31 facts reveal the Incas as a complex and dynamic civilization whose achievements in governance, engineering, agriculture, medicine, and spirituality challenge simplistic historical narratives. Their story is one of adaptation, innovation, and deep connection to the natural and spiritual worlds, leaving a rich heritage that continues to inspire scholarship and admiration worldwide. As we reflect on their legacy, we gain a greater appreciation for a civilization that thrived in one of the most challenging environments on Earth, and whose influence endures in the culture and peoples of the Andes. To bring this incredible journey through Inca history and culture to a close, It is important to emphasize how the legacy of the Incas transcends the ruins and artifacts we often associate with their empire, living vibrantly through the people, traditions, and landscapes of the Andes today. The Incas' achievements in building an extensive road system, mastering agriculture in challenging environments, and developing sophisticated governance without a written language continue to awe scholars and visitors alike. Their ability to integrate diverse cultures while maintaining a cohesive empire reflects a political and social intelligence that remains relevant in discussions about multiculturalism and governance. The spiritual worldview that intertwined everyday life with cosmic cycles, nature worship, and the divine rite of the Sapa Inca invites us to consider alternative ways of understanding humanity's relationship with the Earth and the cosmos. Despite the brutal disruption caused by Spanish conquest, the resilience of Andean peoples ensured that Inca language, art, rituals, and knowledge survived, often hidden beneath the surface of colonial imposition. Today, festivals like Inti Raymi, traditional weaving practices, and the Quechua language stand as living bridges connecting the present to the past. Modern archaeological discoveries and research continue to challenge old assumptions, revealing new layers of complexity in Inca society, from their medical practices to their use of quipus as a possible writing system. Each fact we uncover not only enriches our understanding, but also honors the ingenuity, resilience, and humanity of a civilization that faced enormous challenges with creativity and spirit. So when you think of the Incas, remember they were far more than stone walls or conquest stories. They were a civilization that transformed their world through knowledge, faith, and community, leaving an indelible imprint on the history of the Americas and humanity at large. If this exploration has expanded your view of the Incas and inspired your curiosity, please subscribe for more deep dives into history's fascinating stories. Activate the bell to stay updated, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Every forgotten fact revived is a chance to see our shared past in a new light, reminding us that history is not just about what we know, but also about what we continue to discover and learn. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to check out another interesting video.